I am 6'2" in height, or about 188 centimetres. My Hilleberg Sulu that you can see behind me has a floor length of 220 centimetres, 40 centimetres more. However, that 40 centimetres is very, very quickly eaten up when you think about having a sleeping bag on, a thick foot box and a thick foot baffle on your sleeping bag, wearing a hat, sleeping bag hood. Those 40 centimetres soon disappear. That means a lot of the time, because I am tall, I wake up with my sleeping bag foot having pushed against the tent inner onto the tent outer, and yep, you've guessed it, I end up having a soggy foot box, which nobody wants. However, with the help of Alpkit, I've come up with a cunning solution. Let's go inside the tent and I'll show you. How did I get around this problem then? Well, I took my thickest, fattest, beefiest, most winter weight sleeping bag into the Alpkit store in Betws-y-Coed. I spoke with one of the repair station people there, a lady called B, and we had a chat about the problem that I was having. I said that I did not want to use a full length bivvy bag. It was too much weight, too much bulk, and probably too much insulation on top of a winter bag inside a tent. I didn't need a full length bivvy bag. What I needed was a bivvy bag just for the foot section of my sleeping bag. So we had a chat, I left the sleeping bag there, we had a few phone calls over the course of a few weeks, and this is the solution that she's come up with. 3 or 4 baffles up from the bottom of the sleeping bag, she has sewn 4 simple loop attachment points onto the sleeping bag that can be closed with a press stud, which is impossible to do one-handed, but you get the idea. She's sewn 2 on the front of the sleeping bag, or the top of the sleeping bag, and she's sewn 2 on the back or the bottom of the sleeping bag, 4 in total. And here's the clever bit. What she's then done is she's taken a section of what I believe is their Alpkit Hunker bivvy bag material. It's certainly breathable and it's waterproof and it's fairly lightweight. She's created a sock, a foot bucket if you like, to go on the bottom of the sleeping bag, with these simple loops that slot into the loops that she's sewn on the sleeping bag. Again, impossible to do one-handed, so I'll show you one that's already done. And it loops in place there. You can imagine the 2 on the front and the 2 on the back. What I've now got is a secure, low bulk, lightweight, non-excessive bivvy bag, but just for the foot section of my sleeping bag, which was coming into contact with the inner wall and in turn the outer wall and having condensation form onto it. The problem is now solved. Whilst we were going through our sort of chatting about this, I came up with the idea that if I take my largest sleeping bag in, which is the one that you're looking at now, the beefiest one, if she can create a foot bucket that fits that, then all of my lighter weight sleeping bags will fit inside it. So the plan is that I've had my winter bag modified with these simple loop attachments now. The bivvy bag for the feet, the foot bucket, that's done and dusted. That will fit any sleeping bag that I now own because of its size. What I can now do, or hopefully Mrs. T at home, is sew the equivalent of these onto all of my other sleeping bags, my mid-weight and my summer weight ones, meaning that I can then take this blue foot bucket off and take it with me on future adventures where I'm not using this yellow winter sleeping bag. So that's the solution. I've used it for the very first time last night. Very damp night, lots of rain, lots of moisture on the outside of the tent, some moisture on the inside of the tent, quite a lot of moisture at the foot end. However, absolutely none of it made its way onto my actual sleeping bag. It's simply collected on the foot bivvy bag, or the foot bucket as B called it when I was on the phone to her. Problem solved. That's quite a neat solution, isn't it, to what is probably not a unique problem to me. Anybody that's tall and carries a fairly low bulk tent is probably going to suffer from this challenge. You might have your own bivvy bag at home that you're happy to cut up. Personally, I wasn't cutting either of my bivvy bags up, but you might have a damaged one at home. You might have one that has seen much better days. Maybe you can find one on eBay and you're happy to do the modifications to it yourself. If you don't, and you live close to an Alpkit store, maybe take this video on your phone in there, show it to somebody in the repair station and show them the good work that B did, and maybe they can knock you up a a copy of this prototype that B very kindly did for me. And thank you, B. You're a lifesaver. If not a lifesaver, you're a damp sleeping bag footbox saver. So thank you for that. If you're thinking about how you can modify your sleeping gear for the outdoors, then why not check the video that's appearing on the screen right now. Take a look at that. That might give you some more ideas, and I'll see you in my next video very shortly. Cheers.